Welcome to Talk Dirt to Me, where two farmers shatter myths and take on the top issues facing America's farmers. Here's your hosts, Logan and Bobby Lee.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. What are we? Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. And hey, actually, I bet our guest, we got some awesome guest episode for today, but I bet our guest didn't know this is a special day for Bobby Lee.
What's that?
It's his birthday, man. We're recording on his birthday.
Happy birthday.
What are you, about 48?
Not quite. Not quite.
43, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 43 years old. That's what when we were planning this, I didn't even think about it being your birthday.
Yeah. So everybody's at the office. I'm like, man, it's just Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do got a really cool episode. We're glad we got a couple of awesome guys in studio with us today. Before we get into that, we want to share a couple of things. First, we need y'all to hit that like button, hit subscribe, comment below, and let us know what you think of the episode. If you're watching this on Spotify, we also ask that you would comment on there. Leave us comments on there. Ratings, they got us to 500. We did surpass 500 on Spotify. So Apple, you got a ways to go to get there, but we ask that you leave us those ratings. And go to talkdirtpodcast.com. You can submit your questions on our contact page there. And what else I need to do?
Y'all check out agzaga.com. Y'all know the routine. The discount code is TalkDirt20. That'll be $20 off a $50 minimum order and free shipping. Yeah, check out all the good stuff. I'll be using some bail net wrap from them if it ever quits raining.
And it works because I just got rake wheels delivered today when I walked in the door here. So use the code. So.
Yep. Universal rake wheel replacements. I had some on my old rake too.
Made in USA, aren't they?
They are made in USA.
Yeah. Yep. So that's thinking. All right. So you guys have heard a couple extra voices on here. We got something, man, I've been excited for this one. We got Dale and Nick joining us from the Tennessee Cattlemen's Association. Thank y'all for joining us today.
Hey.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. Awesome to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's wasn't too bad of a journey, I guess, for y'all to get here, was it?
No, not at all. Just had to do a little planning, just a little U-turn in the road, so we're good.
That's what I was saying, man. I don't know what is up with my address here. It always sends people down the wrong way. Amazon actually delivers our packages over in that neighborhood you got turned around in. So I lose packages constantly. So yeah, it's fun stuff. So man, give us a little rundown about who each of y'all are and your background, and let's just start with there.
You want me to go first?
Go for it. Yes, sir.
So I'm Nick Patterson. I guess it would be Dr. Nick Patterson. I'm not much for titles but I moved here. I'm a native Alabamian, so Florence, Alabama.
Man, Bobby Lee might hold that against you.
No, but hey, he's going to say War Eagle.
I would say War Eagle.
Yeah.
There you go.
An enemy of an enemy is a friend.
That's
right.
right.
So just different color orange.
That's right.
More like the Skyhawk, orange and blue. So
y'all got old Alec Golis,
I know. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
We're excited. I mean, I'm excited as an Auburn fan for that. Just to see what he did at Tennessee.
I think you should be.
22. Yeah. And then, of course, what is that? October the 3rd or 6th is when he returns to Neyland Stadium this year.
Yeah.
So,
it's sometime. Yeah,
they're already hyping that up. So that'll be good.
There you go.
Yeah. So grew up on what I guess you'd just be your typical Southeastern cow-calf farm. Our farm was a byproduct of land ownership through years, passed down from my great-grandfather. My dad did excavating for a living, bulldozers, trackhoes. He was an artist with a piece of equipment. My mom worked for the state. And so I grew up just, 40, 50 mama cows doing hay. We didn't hunt. We didn't fish.
Work cattle.
Yeah, we worked cattle. We worked, like going to us baling hay on Saturday was the equivalent of us, going to fish or something with my dad. So, and my uncle, who was
did you like that?
Yeah, I did. Well, I guess I didn't really know any better. But when I was in high school, our neighbor had a much more wooded farm and had a guy that I kind of tried to get into hunting, and I've killed one deer in my life. It's just and then as I graduated from vet school, everybody was like, "Oh, do you hunt?" And I'm like, I spent so much time trying to figure out how to keep stuff alive that hunting's just not my thing. But I'm glad that people do.
Yeah.
Because man, we would definitely have plenty of deer, turkey, and hogs now where we're at. So, but anyway, so Lord blessed me with a good mind for science. And so I went to Auburn University, got my animal science degree, and then was able to get into their veterinary program in 2006, graduated with my DVM degree in 2010. I I'd kind of gotten up here to Tennessee. I did my preceptorship, which is the last 3 months of school there at Auburn. They make us go work at not make us, but it's a great thing. But we go and work at a private practice for 3 months. And worked at Portland Animal Hospital, which was a mixed animal practice over around Portland.
Tennessee, not Oregon.
Yes, Portland, yes. And they wanted to keep me kind of part-time, so they started asking other veterinarians around the area, and Dr. John Donaldson in Salina at Cumberland River Veterinary Service was kind of looking for an associate at the time.
Yep.
Fast forward to when I was supposed to start working for him. Unfortunately, he had been diagnosed with B-cell lymphoma, and so what was supposed to be kind of 2 part-time gigs did turn into a day a week in Portland, but basically, I kind of ran his practice there while he was recovering from that and had a lot of, health issues. But so Clay County, for a lot of those that probably don't know, even in Tennessee, we're one of the most rural counties. So there's only like 8,000 in the whole county. We're about 70% covered by trees.
Yeah.
But
I'm envious of that.
Yeah, we're it's changing. We're like anything. We've definitely got some population surge, but definitely we're an hour from anything.
Yeah.
Like, so, when you want to go to the good grocery store, we're an hour away.
Which probably can get kind of annoying.
It does. I don't think we think about it anymore, you know? And then we're 4.5 hours away from where I grew up, kind of in Alabama. And so like coming over here wouldn't but for another 30 minutes,
Yeah.
So,
yep.
But worked there as a mixed animal practitioner for about 3 years, spent a lot of my time on the south end of a northbound cow. I think I palpated like 8,000, cows that first year between stockyards and other producers. So just have always loved beef cattle. Met my now wife when she brought a hurt basset hound named Roscoe in to the vet office.
There you go. Yeah.
I might have memorized her number off of the client list, but it worked out well. Roscoe was fixed. She didn't get a bill, and we were married a year later.
There you go.
Hey,
And
win-win.
it was a win-win for everybody. And so I've been there, let's see, so I've been there 16 years now in Clay County. And in 2013, my wife's family, my wife's dad would be your definition of an American entrepreneur. He just loved businesses, loved having ideas and turned them into businesses. And so we operate a set of businesses today as the second generation of ownership. So me and my wife, her brother, and my mother-in-law still living. We have a set of businesses there today that my father-in-law and mother-in-law would have started. So most Honest Abe Log Homes is one of the businesses that we have. Yeah. Barky Beaver Mulch and Soil Mix. We recycle sawmill waste and turn it into mulches and soil amendments and mixes. And then my wife and I, we've got about 400 mama cows kind of split into spring and fall calving groups, background our own calves. We do use the Akaushi bull, so the red Wagyu. So a lot of our calves go into some kind of branded meat programs. And then we do agritourism on the farm. And so we, matter of fact, she's got a school group there today kind of on the farm. So
what kind of stuff on the agritourism side?
So we started out with events mostly. So we do have a venue, but what we actually started out with were we call them, in our area, they're called barn sales, but that's a kind of a misnomer. They're more like a marketplace.
Okay.
So we have 3 times a year, we have 90 to 100 vendors kind of come to the farm.
Wow.
And, anywhere from, homemade breads, jewelry to clothes type of thing. About 3 years ago, we were able to barter with an adjacent landowner and get some more land there. And so now we do the pumpkin patch, the corn maze. This year we had a tutorial that was on the farm. So we had 12 kindergartners that were all homeschooled there on the farm 3 days a week, had a teacher. They spent a lot of time taking care of the animals, growing a little garden. So we're kind of expanding that as well.
I've heard that, like out here, there's some people that do it's camps in the summer. Mm-hmm. And I had someone tell me, they're like, man, y'all should host one on the farm. And they were talking they were like, people pay good money to bring their kids and let them get off iPads and be outdoors.
The need is legit. I mean, it's legit and the demand is there. And so, I would absolutely encourage you to do that. I mean, it's out of the comfort zone for us as farmers, right? We just want to drive equipment, do our stuff. But there's you would think even in our rural area, those kids are still really
you would think they're exposed to it.
Their families are there. I mean, they're exposed to it all the time, but just for them to do it on their own. And we kind of take a little bit of a different approach than traditional education, I suppose.
Yeah.
With some of that. But.
Well, and I know, and we've talked about, Bobby Lee got his YouTube channel showing the cattle. And I've talked to other guys, and, growing up in it, like you did, I mean, it's normal to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you just assume, well, this is normal to everybody else.
Right.
And then, you wonder, it's like, well, I don't know why people watch farming on TV and stuff, because that's just what we know. But it's like, you got to remember, only 2% of the population farms.
Well,
yeah.
I watch a lot of it because I get fascinated with the differences in different regions of the country, you know, and one, just different, types of farms and period. But I like to watch the cattle guys in the Dakotas, like, stuff that, like, okay, that makes sense. That would work there. I don't know if it would work here, kind of thing, or maybe I want to try that. But yeah.
During undergrad, I took an entire semester off from undergrad and interned with a gentleman that ultrasounded for carcass trades.
Yeah.
And he lived in Ringgold County, Iowa, very rural southwestern Iowa, but we traveled all over the West. And so, like, I loved that just I got to see feedlots in Colorado, that had just thousands of head of animal there. And then
crazy. The
farmer feeders in Iowa and other parts. And so, you just get it probably helps me today in kind of the role I'm in necessarily with the cattlemen's, is you get the perspectives are all different as you go. And even here in the state, I drove through tons of different ecosystems on the way here on the way over here today. And, but just probably to round out, so my role with the Tennessee Cattlemen's is I'm the president-elect, which means that I will become president next end of January, 1st February, when we have our annual convention next year.
Gotcha.
Our current president is Mr. Gary Deering. He's from Fayette County over here in this way. So,
gotcha.
And Dale could probably do this on his own, but I was like, if you're going over there to talk dirt to me, I'm going with you. So,
and listen, I'm so glad Nick's with me, because I'll tell you, listening to all this, I'm like, man, I don't quite measure up to all this. So what a whole list of things that he's accomplished. So I grew up in rural Middle Tennessee, Warren County, Tennessee.
Okay.
My name is Dale Parker. I'm with the Tennessee Cattlemen Association as the executive vice president. What does that really mean? To me, I wear a lot of different hats every day.
Yeah.
Some of it is working with producers. Some of it is going to meetings. I look at it that Nick and the board is my boss, and I work really close to them. So it's been a good thing. I've only been on board about 6 months now, and just trying to kick up a little dirt and bring some recognition back to the Cattlemen Association.
Yeah.
Myself, I grew up in very rural Middle Tennessee, raising tobacco, hogs, and cattle.
Okay.
And I wouldn't consider us beef cattle farmers at all growing up, because we had a few dairy cows and a few beef cows, and just really trying to get by kind of thing. I was the fourth of 5 children. So if you've worked around tobacco or around hogs and that kind of environment, it's just some gritty work that,
do y'all still do tobacco?
So we don't. I think the last
that's a tough
tobacco
industry.
Oh man, it is. It's right up there. Start setting tobacco around Memorial Day, and then you're cutting it in Labor Day, and it's wet and trying to the dew on it. Man, that stickiness as you're hanging it in the barn, I don't miss that a bit.
Yeah.
That's what we tobacco is one that we've never grown tobacco, except my dad and I. One time I ordered some seeds because I on and off chew tobacco. I just love tobacco.
Yeah.
And every now and then I'll puff a cigar. And so I was like, man, I'm going to order some tobacco seed. My dad's got like this super garden. He mulches in some manure and tills it in every now and then. And so, man, I ordered several different seed. I couldn't get over how tiny,
Absolutely.
looked like a pepper, like a little piece of pepper. And so we planted these little bitty seeds, and then it grows just a massive plant. I couldn't get over how huge they were.
Absolutely. So we used to, we would prepare a tobacco bed. We would either burn it or gas it early in February.
Yeah.
And then prepare the bed and sow them like in March to be ready to be planted, kind of in the May time frame. But you're right, tiny seeds. And
how did y'all plant them?
So we had a tobacco setter. It was a very manual. At one point, we had one that they called it a finger type. It had basically a chain driven, and there were 2 people. So like me and Nick were sitting here, the tractor's heading this direction. So we both have a set of plants, and we're putting plants
Okay,
in
so
there.
it's like I got a water wheel transplanter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Very similar.
we then later realized, hey, there's even a better option. That was really those finger type, but that drag type was even better, that you just hold the plant straight up and you drop it down. And, but yeah, we had,
Gotcha.
man, it just very labor intensive, everything about tobacco from the time it was planted, harvest and stripping and everything. But
is there herbicides you could use, or did you have to, was it all?
Yeah, at that time, orthene was coming out, and to help with tobacco worms and some of the other things. But
see, aphids tore ours up.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we had like it was just, we ended up doing nothing with it. We just were like, that's our tobacco plants.
There you go.
We planted just a few of them.
Yeah.
But man, I remember some type of aphid got all over them. But it was sticky. The leaves were sticky.
The leaves are sticky, and do you recall, did you cut it and hang it up and let it cure?
No, because and my dad was he was spraying it, but whatever we were spraying didn't do no good on the aphids. So we finally were like, dang, well, so I think my goats ended up, they might have got a little buzz off of it because I gave them to them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But anyways, tobacco and hogs and cattle. And then I decided, heck, I'm going to college. And it was one of those things of, during that time frame of like, go and get a college degree and go do something else. And so there was always this draw to get back on the farm.
Yeah.
And, I'd go home on the weekends. My older brother had a dairy farm later, and so milked a bunch of Holstein cows. And anyways, and then me and my younger brother both would come home on the weekends. We're like, we need to figure out what we need to do to get back on the farm. And so I moved back to our parents' farm, and my older brother and I run beef cattle together. And it's just what a interesting path that each of us have taken, and we all kind of have wound up back at home, on the farm, doing the kind of stuff that we love.
So I'm curious, like, how did y'all get involved into the leadership side of Tennessee Cattlemen's?
Sure. So for me, I came from a sales background, sales and marketing and business development. Over the last 25 years or so, had been in that role. Very fortunate, very blessed. A lot of great opportunities had come my way. In March of 2025, I said, you know what? I've had enough of my sales job. I'm quitting, and I'm just going to go and farm full time.
Yeah.
So that was my goal. Well, August of 25, I was at a cattle meeting in Fall Creek Falls, and Charles, I don't even know if you know this story, Nick, but Charles Hord announced that he was retiring or leaving. And, so I talked to him a little bit, and he said, well, we need to figure out how to get you on the board or whatever, get you, and I said, you know what? I want your job, Charles. And so things kind of progressed, and so here I am. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Didn't realize it, but everything in life has been preparing me to get to where I am now. So all of the experience with hogs and cattle and tobacco growing up, my sales and business development, to where I am now, everything has been kind of a training ground to where I am at this moment. So very grateful for it.
Yeah.
And probably just, so for me, of course, I'm on the board, and we probably use some terms here, and I'll maybe simplify it a little bit. So the Cattlemen's Association, we essentially have 4 paid positions. Dale is one of them, executive vice president. We have Miss Sally Wingler, who works in the office, and if you call in, that's usually the real friendly voice that you hear.
Yeah.
We have Miss Taylor Kaufman, that is our recently hired over the youth program. Miss Melinda Perkins started. She was the first hire for the youth about 8 years ago, and she left us the same year that Charles did. But she did a wonderful job developing the youth program, and that's probably one of the bright spots that we have. But Miss Taylor is now taking that over and running there. And then Miss Lauren Neal is our marketing and communications. I think she's probably who reached out to you all in the beginning. And so anything that you see on social media and the videos and all that, she has a world to do with that.
Gotcha.
But our board is essentially made up of volunteer leaders that are passionate about the beef industry. And we probably all come at it from much different directions. Gary, that's our current president, is a financial advisor. I have lots of cattle, but also bring a business perspective. There's probably a little bit different than most. We've got purebred producers. We have like, UT has a spot on our board, not as a voting member, but as a ex officio member.
Yeah.
So does TDA. And then we've got folks from West, Middle, and East that just have a wider range of array of different industry background and knowledge and perspective. And so, we meet quarterly as a board. I got to be on the board. A good friend of mine that we got to know through the Wife and R program, Mr. Jay Yergin, that's from over over in Greenfield.
Jay's fraternity brother of mine.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was president at the time.
Yeah.
And essentially, we have some at-large positions. We're divided up into districts across the state. So there are district VPs, and that's where if you're a county association that's got an issue that you want to talk about or something you want to bring up, that district VP is a great person to talk to first. You're more welcome to call me anytime. And our phone numbers are in there. You can call me or Dale or whoever. But the way the association was set up to work is that the district VPs kind of oversee their district, kind of get the feel for it, bring that back to the board for us to talk about things.
Yeah.
But there was an at-large position for Middle Tennessee. So we try to spread the at-large positions across different parts of the state as well. And that was extended to me and accepted. And then just, had been on that position until 2 years ago when I was asked if I wanted to be president one day, which means that I'll be president-elect for 2 years. I'll be president for 2 years, and then your immediate past president for 2 years. So it's kind of a 6-year term there.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like I didn't grow up in a family that was real involved in Farm Bureau or Cattlemen's or anything. That's just not what my parents and family did. But it's like life has lent me those opportunities, and I have always tried my best to say yes to them.
Yeah.
I love the cattle industry, and even though I'm not a native Tennessean, I am a Tennessean.
Yeah.
Now, and I love Tennessee agriculture, and man, like growing up across the state line there, we were always so envious of the ag enhancement program because we would see all the stuff that folks got to buy just right across the line.
Did Alabama not have that?
No, Alabama does not have that. And
Still?
No. And I love my home state.
Yeah.
But I would be remiss without saying that Tennessee, and I tell everybody to listen to this, but Tennessee does an amazing job of highlighting agriculture, keeping it front and center in the state and supporting farmers. And that's and that now goes back to our 4-H and FFA programs.
They got some killer programs.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that the state funds those positions in every county, and we didn't have that. Alabama, we're still working off of regional extension agents, not county.
I just assumed Alabama would have had the ag enhancement.
Yeah. And no, we don't know. No, I mean, Tennessee and Kentucky both have their different programs, but Alabama does not.
That got started from the tobacco buyout.
Really?
It was tobacco settlement money. Supposedly a lot of that has sort of been used up, or maybe not used up is not the right word, but now it's funded through the General Assembly each year. But it was first started, TAEP was started as a way to get tobacco farmers into raising beef cattle. So I remember going to some of those first meetings and like, now, wait a minute, we're going from tobacco farms to raising cattle. How does this all work?
Let's say, what was your initial thoughts on it?
It was kind of, growing up on a tobacco farm, you think of just the grit and hard work that goes into it.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, this would be easy. Like this should be easier to do. Now, I will tell you, my perception of that has changed. I love raising beef cattle, but boy, it's different. It's something different every day.
What do you like better, raising beef or raising tobacco?
Absolutely raising cattle.
Raising cattle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is nothing better than there are times that I get out there and go out there on the four-wheeler side by side and just park, and you'd be surprised how many times the cows would come up to you and they'll just moo, or they're just stand there, and it's the best calm, it's the best peace that you can ever get. So it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
that's what. So this time of year, of course, I'm sitting here drinking coffee, and it's nearly 1 o'clock. And I'm a morning person. I love to get out there right at first light. It's still cool, and of course, we got grass knee high right now.
Yes.
Sipping coffee, just listening to them munch.
Yes, it is. Isn't it amazing how you can actually,
the storm of my day begins? Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how you can stand there and listen to them actually munching on the grass?
That's one of the most cathartic sounds.
Yeah.
When you turn you move pastures and they're eating there, and that's one of the best sounds in the world.
So I live on this farm here that we're on, and me and my wife used to live over in my grandparents' place, which is our dad's main farm area. And out there was the pasture ground where all the cattle are. And so, yeah, every morning, man, cows would be out there. And I love just seeing them. And so we've moved over here, and row crop is my bread and butter. And it's been a really expensive, costly bread and butter here lately. But, that's been my bread and butter. But back where my house is about a 23-acre field around us. And that's my plan, is to fence it off and put cows, because I got just a small herd, but I want to put them because I just miss them. I miss seeing cattle. It's something, it is something peaceful about it. Yeah. It's hard to explain.
Yeah. So I often say, and as Nick mentioned in the office, there's a lady named Sally that works in there. So I've had to explain this to her that, this has nothing. All of my cows think their name is Sally. Unrelated to me working at Tennessee Cattlemen. It was tough for me as a kid. I remember my dad would call in the dairy cattle, and he'd be like, "SoCal for sulk," and it's still hard for me to say that. So I picked up the "Woo, Sally, come on!"
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they can hear me, and they'll come a running, and I love it. So my advice to anyone, somebody told me a long time ago, you shouldn't have to run away from them or shouldn't run toward them if you can't draw them in, and I believe that. Now, that's not to say I've not had some crazy ones, because I have. But
the ones we grew up with, you were running from them things.
Yeah,
occasionally.
And that is the nice thing, because Bobby Lee, he's got a good herd, and I've been around his a little bit, and they'll come to you. And my little herd, that's one of the things I give them, just range cubes, just to give them something to munch on. And I went out there the other day. I swear, I think my cow, one of my cows, she drifted around a corner, I think, coming in there. I just shake the bucket, and she's literally kicking up mud and stuff coming. And it's just a cool thing, man. It is.
It's a great industry to be in. And on a serious note, how fortunate we are. You mentioned the 2%, how fortunate we are to be in a great state that we're in, and in a great industry that we're in. Sometimes I'm like, man, we get paid to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's truly, I'm amazed that we get to live in this environment that we're in. So.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I always tell people, I was like, I'm not a cowboy. I'm a cattleman. If I can't catch one with a feed bucket, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Well, and
I'm seeing me with the rope, things have gotten.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, Bobby Lee won't take any credit here, but Bobby Lee is a cowboy, because I watched him go about 6 feet in the air from a bull one day. So I told him, I was like, you earned your stripes to say you're a cowboy. Yeah, that bull, we had just quit filming.
You might say the opposite. Like, if I was a real
cowboy would have got out of the way.
Yeah.
No, I tell him, man, you earned the stripes for that. But yeah, it's
that was not part of my herd.
Yeah.
We won't say whose cows those were, but
yeah. I'm gonna say most listeners could probably piece that together.
Pretty sure that was the first time a gate had ever been shut behind that old boy. So,
yeah, he was.
He got on the trailer a few minutes later.
Yeah.
So it's the last time we had to see him.
Sometimes you're like, gotta go, buddy.
Yeah, he was happy to see everybody. That's for sure. And had just quit filming too. That was a bad thing.
Yeah, that was good.
Bobby Lee got 1 million views off of that one. I mean, it was a hell of a hit.
Yeah.
What? Not to pick on any breed, was it? Could you distinguish what he was, or was it just a cross?
He was just old crossbred that had never been.
Yeah.
Again, I'm pretty sure that's the first time he'd ever had a gate shut behind him.
I got you.
Yeah, probably the closest proximity he's been to a human being.
I'm sure that's the first time he had ever touched a human or been touched by one.
Yeah. So he was a feral bull.
Yeah.
But no, man, it's neat. And the Tennessee Cattlemen's, we're kind of excited to see what y'all are doing. I mean, we're curious, what are y'all's, what's your plans with Tennessee Cattlemen's?
So the first thing I want to say on this is we do not exist without our members.
Yeah.
We are grateful for each and every one of our members, and we couldn't do any of this without them. And so my comment is thank you to our members. And we want to be the voice of the producer. That's the voice of the producer at our state legislator, with the Department of Ag, and anything else that we can do to be that voice. We're grateful for each and every one of our members. And I taken it on as my personal mission to say, hey, I want to be at as many places and do as many things as I can. It may not always be the right place that I should be at, or it may not be saying the right thing, but I think it's important that our members know that, hey, we're engaged with them to be that voice.
Yeah.
That sometimes, we as producers, we want to do what we do. We talk about hanging out with our cattle and enjoying that, but we don't go and tell our story enough. And I'm convinced if we as producers, we as farmers are not telling our story, someone else will be telling their story that will absolutely quiet or shut us down to so many things. I think it's important more now than ever for us to tell our story as a producer and as a farmer. So all that starts with being a member of the Cattlemen Association and being plugged in. And even, if you're a row cropper, figure out what you need to do to be plugged into that association and have your voice heard,
Yeah, I mean, and that's something Bobby Lee and I both have talked about, and because people today, especially I would say with the social media, everybody's critical of everything.
Yes.
And that's what, I mean, no organization is ever going to be 100% exactly with you on everything.
Yes.
Like I'm a member of, a bunch, some outdoors hunting organizations. And there's times when they do stuff and I'm like, I don't know that I'm quite in line with that, but 90% of the other things I'm right in line with. And, we've talked about like even a lot of the farm organizations, there's times when we're like, I don't know that I like that, but we're not even involved. And so it's kind of like, it's easy to sit back and be doing nothing and criticize.
Right. Absolutely.
And so that's one of the things we've said. It's like, if you got a problem with something that an organization's doing, well, get involved.
Yeah.
Get involved with them.
And I'm going to butcher this saying, but it's something about if you're not sitting at the table discussing, you may be on the table. And there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
If we're not telling our story and we're not talking about what's important to us, a little topic that I'm going to dive off into, a bunch of different squirrel rabbit holes here, but I noticed some solar panels coming up, and
you'll get my blood pressure rising.
It concerns me. Like there was some folks near me that was like, "Oh, well, you could have solar panels." And by the way, I hope you don't have any solar panel sponsors for your program.
We certainly do not.
But I'm like, first of all, cattle will figure a way to tear up something.
Oh gosh,
day in and day out.
Yeah.
They'll figure out how to use it as a scratching post or something.
Oh yeah.
But my question was, all right, if that's going to work, let's say that you might need to fertilize that. You might need to reseed that at some point. You might need to put, how does that all work? Just the little things like that. But why are we taking some of our most prime farmland and putting solar panels and some of this other stuff that I need to hush up about?
No, man, I'll tell you, that's,
it's already flat and ready to go in a lot of cases.
Like put it on top of
buildings right here near Memphis.
Yeah.
Cover Memphis with solar panels.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's one of my axes. I've lost in the last probably 4 years, I've lost 300 acres of like killer row crop ground to solar panels.
Solar panels. Wow.
Flat.
Is that coming up on Millington?
It is in Millington.
Yeah, I was coming up through there. I was like,
did you come up? Where'd you come up through Millington? Did you come down Armour Road?
Heck, I don't know. I was following the GPS, but at some point I was like, man, look at, like, I couldn't believe it.
You might have drove past some of mine, or I bet you probably came down Singleton. Man, Singleton is like 2,000 acres they're covering with solar panels. Great farm ground.
It's somewhere across the river in Arkansas, around where we duck hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as you can see, it's like, man.
Reelfoot Lake, if you rode, I went out there, took the kids, I guess last summer.
Some up there.
Oh man, it's a whole big block, just solar panels. The ones that I lost, I've shared on here before. It was about 180 acres in one block that I picked up, which is kind of hard to find around here. And man, the beans would cut about 70 bushels or so on that place, and the corn would always shell well over 200 bushel. Wow. Like it was just phenomenal ground. Yeah. And man, it was an older guy that owned it and didn't have any kids. And all this land, it was about probably 1,500 acres around this ground, and just different farmers owned it. Well, solar company comes in out of Nashville, and And I'm going to tell you, and some of them might listen to the show. I don't know. But Phil Bredesen's one of the owners. And that kind of bothers me because I'm like, I feel like there's a little bit of indoor cooking or so, something going on there, because it came to a head with Shelby County's government, basically, where I've reached out. I talked to, I guess, our alderman or something, and they tried to block them. They were trying to stop the solar panels. Because they had me write letters to the zoning commission to try to explain, like, look, if you believe in this green thing, put these somewhere, put them somewhere else. Like I said, put them over parking lots. Like, I've seen that proposed. Do something different. This is prime land. And, they got so much money. They have lawyers on staff. I mean, I joke only halfway that Leonardo DiCaprio, he probably funds these kind of things. He needs a $20 million tax write-off. He gives it to stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And so you got a little county trying to stop some people with mega millions of dollars, potentially billions of dollars, and they just can't do it. And so that was a problem we ran into. And my landlord, man, he kept telling them no. He was the holdout. He was the last one. All the ground around him sold. And he called me one day, and he would always call me, and he'd say, those sons of bitches from Silicon keep calling me. And, man, he called me one day, and he was sick. He said, man, he said, I'm going to sell it. It's like they just keep on. Every time he'd tell them no, they'd call back with a higher offer. Wow. And, it's funny because he was the holdout, and he got paid the most amount of money. Yeah. And he didn't even want to sell, but.
Well, he was going to be surrounded by it anyway. And so it was kind of.
He was looking at his land values.
Yeah, and that's what he said.
Yeah, I better take it now.
Than a solar farm, right? He was killing us.
Well, we're really in the same shape with just development in the state in general, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's that same conversation, whether it's solar panels. Yep. And I'm not necessarily for, there are good things that come out of that, but, what do we wake up and look like in 20 years?
Right.
Yeah, is Tennessee still going to be Tennessee?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a development part that is needed for any community to continue growing and changing and all of that. But is it sustainable growth, and is it sustainable development? And, I'm thinking, man, we need to cluster some of these houses more together rather than, everybody wants a house in 5 acres or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's but that 5 acres that never grow another grain of corn or soybeans or blade of grass to cut for hay. Somebody's out there with a zero turn mowing it. And I hate to see that happening. It's just.
We've been recording for almost 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
In an hour, 10 acres are lost.
Yeah.
In Tennessee, that's what I didn't realize this until about 2 weeks ago. In the state of Tennessee, 10 acres an hour are lost to development, which is just hard for me to imagine. And that's exactly, we got places around here where to build a house, it requires a lot of like 4 to 5 acres. Isn't it Shelby County?
Oh, I don't.
There's areas out there to avoid being classified like a subdivision. You have to be on like 5 acres. Yep. And like I said, man, that's eating up the land. I mean, it's just Munford around here is it's changed a lot since we were kids.
Well, and our most recent thing we talk about a bunch. We got the big new Ford plant, Louisville City, which of course.
Didn't quite.
All electric, now there's going to be.
Now it's gas, isn't it?
Right,
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Was it the Tennessee truck plant now? Is that what
Yeah. Everybody from day one's like, they'll make a few electric, and then and they're like, we can convert it over. Well, now it turns out there's not going to be any electric trucks made. But anyway, well, that our land values around here.
God, crazy.
Everything, it didn't matter how it laid or whatever. Everybody immediately said 10,000 an acre.
Yep.
Like,
wow. Yeah, we went
You're
from
starting to see that kind of back off. Some people are like,
We went from getting it for $2,000 an acre. You used to buy farmland around here for about $2,000 to $3,000 an acre. Right in that line where you could actually make the farm almost pay for itself. Right. And now the farm right up the road here that I work, it sold for like $9,800 an acre.
Yeah.
And and they called me and asked me if I'd want to buy it, and I said, I'm gonna farm it. And I said, I can't pay you that kind of money. And they're like, well, that's the kind of money we want. I'm like, well, I can't pay it.
Isn't it interesting? People want it to continue as farmland, but they want to sell it at the
commercial
development prices. And you're right. It just doesn't pencil out.
Yeah.
Not even close. Yeah.
Which I understand it on one hand, because it's like, well, yeah, because they're thinking nothing to keep him from turning around 5 years from now. And
That's right.
or when I can fall over dead tomorrow, and my kids, they may cash in,
Yeah.
So
it is such a fine balance there, because some people, they didn't have a job that had a pension or 401k. They bought land, and so that is their retirement.
Yeah.
And so I get that. It's a tough line to walk right now.
It'll be real interesting to see the Tennessee Farmland Preservation Act when they come out with the language for it, how that tool will work to be able to help with some of that.
I'm intrigued by that.
I'm really intrigued by that, which I love. I don't like politics. I love policy.
Yeah.
And so I really am very intrigued to see that. I mean, I don't think I'll ever need it in Clay County, but hopefully some of these other counties where.
Oh, I thought about it for this place.
It'll be real. I think that, if you look at other states that they tried to mimic that off of, Florida always champions this at like some of our NCPA meetings. They've had a really robust state funded land preservation, especially for ranch lands and such down there, that has been really successful.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to make it look successful, but I mean, by all means, it looks like it has been. It really keeping land in agricultural purposes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm intrigued for, I'm curious, because that's what, I've told my wife, I'm like, this farm right here would be one I would almost consider, because it's just, everything's closing in on it.
Yeah.
And
it sent me to the subdivision. You're not far. Yeah.
I'm surrounded.
There's going to be another one.
We worked some ground that butts right up to this place that is being subdivided, and we lose acres every year. We're just getting to work it until it's subdivided. And the crazy thing about it, the dude bought it for row crop land price. Like we didn't know what it was going to sell for. And they bought it for about $3,000 an acre. And it joins this place. I'm like, dang, I don't know that I could have done it, but I'm like, man, it'd have been a block of about 500 acres.
Wow.
All in one block there.
Have you been able to like, if you're losing this each year, are you able to go out there and find more land to replace it with? Or
it's super cutthroat. It's hard, man. That's the thing. I've had people ask me like, man, I want to get into row cropping. And I'm like, well, where are you going to farm? First thing I ask them, like, what's the land you're going to work? And I'm like, well, I figured I'd start with 100 acres. I'm like, all right, where? And
where can you find it?
Is that 10 fields?
10 fields.
In our area.
It would be like that here, because if there, and I tell every one of them, if there's 100 acres of row crop land, somebody's row cropping it.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are you going to do
you going to run the rent up on somebody?
Yeah.
Start
That's the thing. And Bobby Lee and I have talked about, there is a lot of land that's being row crop farmed, honestly, that probably needs to be put back into cattle.
Absolutely.
There's some rough land.
And it's been an unfortunate thing, because what was really ideal pasture land is now some of it is row crop.
Yep.
Because the row crops are now growing houses or solar panels or whatever else. And it is.
That's one of the things that we don't talk about in the land use equation is like when you take up the good row crop ground for houses, that shifts those guys. And we've got the technological tools to do that now. Right? Yeah. Or at least while we still have glyphosate, I suppose, until Sean Ryan gets it canceled.
I was going to say until Sean Ryan gets it. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to make that reference, but
I'm waiting for. We got a guy. We actually got a guest coming on in about a month, and we'll probably really dive off into the Sean Ryan weeds on that one. But I'm curious. Like, what is pasture ground? This is what I like. Cattle pasture ground. If you were going to rent some ground just for cattle, what do you pay per acre? I know it varies, but like, what's normal?
I can't find it right now.
In our area, it would be, so we're still in a pretty heavy tobacco area. And, and part of the reason is just because, like if you had a 10 acre nice little flat spot where we're at, like it was in tobacco and always has been. And,
just a ballpark. Is it 50 bucks an acre?
It's probably 100 to 150.
It's gotten that high.
It's almost what row croppers are paying.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. Because I was going to say, that's what killed the cattle guys on that is row cropping. And it's actually killing us in the row crop side now. We have guys here that are paying $275 an acre, $300 an acre, and it just don't pencil out.
And one of the other things that's happened is ideal pasture land. They've come in and torn the fences out. And so if you ever wanted to put it back into pasture ground, man, you're going to have the expense of fencing it or cross fencing it, or at least doing the, boundary of it. So boy, it's going to be a tough thing to get people back into it if it's been in row crop or,
No, that's an issue around here for sure. Yeah.
I'm fortunate to be able to rent a little piece of land that I'm growing some hay off of now. Prior to a couple of years ago, we would do soybeans, come back with some ryegrass to cut for hay. And then, and it was like, oh man, I'm grateful to have that. Finally, I was like scratching my head going, all I'm doing is cutting the hay off to feed them. I'm like, so we've sowed that down and running cattle on it now. And I'm sure there's people look at me and go, man, that was ideal row crop land. Why did you do that? But for me, it didn't pencil out the way it was. Yeah. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to rent some hay ground. But who knows, just snap of the finger, I could lose that next year.
Yeah. Well, I think about it from you'd have to get landlords on board is a big thing. Cause we have a lot of people that write in and they'll ask like, Logan, why don't you run cattle on behind your row crops? And cause I do cover crops on most all my stuff. Yeah. And so they're like, why don't you run cattle out there? Like, they ain't got no fences. All the places don't have fences. Most of the places don't even have water. So it's like, I don't have water. I don't have fence. So it's just the logistics, the infrastructure is not there. Yeah. And we're bleeding out on the row crop. I can't afford to go put fences up on everything. Yeah. And some will say, well, just run hot wires. Man, if I ran like 2 hot wires around, I wouldn't sleep at night. I'd be so nervous.
You get those cattle like Bobby Lee has, though. They're nice and calm. They come to,
mine will still get out when I can usually gather them back up, but you're hoping they haven't been out in the road.
There's that little surge of energy of like, got to get there to get them.
When I get that phone call, it's really tense until I get there.
Yeah. Everybody's got the cows are out. Phone call. Slam the recliner down and
I love my neighbors, but there's a few of them that when they call me, I'm like, oh God, it's
what's
never
that
good.
now? Yeah. Going back to that, I hope technology can help us in the future, where maybe we always need some boundary fences, but maybe some of these the solar powered GPS.
Yep.
Those harnesses.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Charles Horde, that's where he went when he left Cattlemen's, was go to no fence. And, I hope, because when I lived out west there for a while there in Iowa, those cattle, it was in the middle of nowhere. So if the cows got out, it was, nobody was coming down through there but the postman.
Yeah.
It was definitely not like here, but they put up hot wires and graze on corn stalks about all winter. And, the ground's froze and they just went and put hay out and the cows, I think here one thing that, like when I look at that and I think, man, what do we do here? We get 60 inches of rain a year, 50, 60. Like it's called it's a mud pit.
I've thought about that too. Yeah. Trying to graze a cover crop or corn stalks or anything. Like, it just.
Yeah, they'd be tearing my field to hell.
We're not that cold, to get the ground good and hard and it just rains.
A really good friend of mine that's from down around Sparta, Andy Davis, he mostly row crops, but he's got a farm that him and his wife bought that's got like 15 acres on it.
Yeah.
And, they've been doing, corn, beans, and in the last couple of years, he's planted a cover crop on it. He's got a neighbor that's got a really nice. It'd be like your herd where they can go out there and get them up every day. So they coordinate together. His cows go out there about to rain, they go grab them off, and those beans have consistently out yielded. Same variety, same planting date, same fertility program, everything. In other parts. I mean, it's there. It's just we got to figure out that piece of the puzzle with. How do you get 100 cows off of a 100-acre row crop field when we're about to get 4 inches of rain in May?
You have a sacrifice area. You can put them in, throw some hay out there for
until it dries
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
When it just won't stop raining. And then,
this spring would have been nice, because it didn't rain for 2 months. But then May came, and here we are. But
I wonder, does he have to put down less lime? I wonder what his pH. I'd be curious to know.
I would be real curious of that. I think, he and I we were both members of this, of TAFLP, the Tennessee Ag Forestry Leadership Program. So we actually just, that's been a really good, I would absolutely encourage any listener that's a a member of a constituent here in Tennessee. It's Tennessee Ag Forestry Leadership Program. We call it TAFLP. There's not a very good way to say that as an acronym that sounds really good, but we were the inaugural class. It was kind of Dr. Charlie Hatcher. It was one of probably the last things that he wanted to see as commissioner was to form a statewide ag and forestry leadership program. So a lot of other states around us have them and have had them for many years. YF&R does a really great job here in Tennessee of, that 18 to 35 range. And so all of us are definitely older than that.
Yeah.
But just looking at trying to cultivate the next leaders for Tennessee ag and forestry. And, we were just in Washington, D.C. last week. That was kind of our last trip together, culmination of talking to our congressional delegation, meeting with a lot of the other ag trade groups and stuff. But anyway, he and I got to talk about that when we'd ride together some places. And I'm pretty sure he did when he said the fertility was the same, they treated basically everything the same. But, I wonder, just then you get to think like, the cattle are probably putting out some P&K out there in that manure. So then, the two thoughts of, well, do you just get more yield or can you cut back on things eventually?
That's
And I think both could be true.
Because lime is about, last I looked, spread lime is like $59 a ton.
Yeah.
And
Where would y'all get it from here?
I'd go through Helena, just one of our companies out here, but they,
is it dolomitic or is it high calcium?
To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know. But I know that it's
hard to get them spreaded on pasture ground.
Yeah. Because they're busy with all of us row crop guys.
Well, I bet. Yeah, absolutely.
But they,
which I'm like, y'all can get me during the off, when y'all can't be in crop fields. But yeah.
What about also just the cattle, not only just the manure on it, but also just from them walking across, kind of help breaking up the soil and stuff too.
There's no-till. There is a lot. There is a lot of data on that with the hooves and and then.
Well, and the urine probably contains a lot of nitrogen, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, not so much.
I don't know.
It would depend on their diet, right?
Yeah.
That would be probably the biggest thing, depending on if they had a lot of non-urea and nitrogen and, as their protein source in the diet.
Are y'all feeding them the non-burping stuff to cut back on the ozone damage?
That thing, yeah.
Now, y'all were in D.C. You just said, did you you should have told them to wait a few days so y'all could have watched the badass fights.
Several members of our class tried to get tickets. That was very invite only.
Yeah.
That was very invite only.
Do you know, I looked up.
Yeah, I assumed that wasn't one you could just go on stuff.
I tried to look
on the resale market.
If you were in the because they had the inner area right there around the octagon, and then out behind it, it was I think just about anybody could go.
The viewing area, yeah.
And it was 80,000 people out there. But the inner part of what I saw online said the tickets were between $1 million to $1.5 million.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I would assume you couldn't even buy it. Clearly I could not buy them, but I was.
Oh, you're a cattleman. You could buy them. But but man, did y'all watch those? Not to go down that, but did y'all watch them?
I did not.
Oh, dude, it was one of the most badass things I've ever watched.
I've seen the pics afterwards with the jet fighters flying over, and but yeah,
it was just, man, it was I don't know. My wife which they're out of town. Her and the kids went to the lake. They're with her parents and them, and I was texting her about it. I was giddy as a schoolgirl watching that thing, man. It was so patriotic. It was one of the coolest things I think I've ever watched. The whole time I was man, I would love to be there. And it really was not a political thing. Trump was there but most of the fighters, which I'm a big UFC guy. I don't know if y'all watch much UFC, but the fighters all they would go over and talk to him. But it was just, they had a Medal of Honor recipients and stuff. The fighter, when he would come out, he got to come out of the White House and walk to the octagon. Wow. And he was escorted by a first responder and then a military veteran. And most of the veterans that escorted him out were Medal of Honor recipients, which was pretty freaking cool.
That is cool.
It was just man, I was absolutely blown away by it.
I'll give you, when we were there last week, when you fly in and you see the Capitol, if you don't hear an eagle crying in the background, you just need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it was the America 250 stuff is everywhere. They're having America's Fair there here into this month. And everywhere you looked, it was America 250. And
what days were you there?
We were there Monday through Friday.
My mom was there. They did like a bus trip there.
Yeah.
You probably saw them setting up the arena then. Did you?
Well, yeah, it was the what they call it, the claw. Or
Yeah.
like it was set up. You could. Man, that thing was huge. You could visibly see it in the red and white and the strobe lights going off all the time. Yeah,
man, that's cool. Yeah, I think it's on Prime. Like I think you can watch it on Paramount on Prime. I like encourage people to check this out. Which the last fight. Again, I won't go down the rabbit hole too much. I won't be like Bobby Lee when he gets talking about football. But Justin Gagey fought in the last fight, and it was like a bloody, just absolute brawl. And Justin was a 6-1 underdog in this fight. He was an American fighting like a Brazilian. And he beats this dude. And he beats him so bad that they actually called his corner, threw the towel in because I think he had broke the bones, the orbital bones. Dude's face was like, he looked like a different human being. And just what Justin was like, they were like, what an American finish, man.
Wow.
Like underdog. And that's what Justin was like. America was the underdog. I'm the underdog. And just dominated. Wow. So it was really cool. Not to get off on that, but
touching on that, the 250. What about the $250 bill that's going to be introduced? Have y'all heard?
I saw that. Seen
it's
that.
Trump.
I'm like, I'm like, when is that going to happen? Like, I'm like, hey,
I got to have $250.
Anyone that doesn't, bring them to me. I'll be glad to take them.
I guess they're already phasing out the penny. With inflation, you might as well. Yeah,
that'd be like a 20 for too long.
I was gonna say, I got to have $250 before I can ever get one. Yeah,
some people are like with 50s. They're like, I'm always like, if you don't like 50s, here, I'll take it.
Yeah, give it to me.
Give it to
That's
me.
true.
I'll put it in my pocket. So.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get run out of time,
I was going to ask too. Of course, Tennessee Cattlemen Association. Get back on that. Just how's the organization doing right now? As far as membership growing and that sort of thing.
We need more members.
Right.
I'll just be very candid with you. We need more members. I think it's all the things that we've just sat here and talked about. Less farmland, less producers. I think that so much information now, which is fantastic that there's information out there, but now people get information from social media and other things that they no longer are dependent on an association to provide that information for them. Here's my plug for being a member is we need face-to-face interaction with folks at our state legislature and at our U.S. at the federal level. You cannot do that just by picking up the phone or just by you've got to have a relationship, a connection with those people. So to me, that is being the voice of the producer. That's the best thing that I can share with anyone that's kind of on the fence. You talked about you're maybe a hunter or you're a fisherman or you're whatever. You ought to be involved in whatever you're passionate about. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the cost of a membership, it's
what is it?
Somewhat insignificant. The state membership fees is $50. Each of the counties, it varies. Some of the counties are $25. Some of them are $15. So
a year.
Yeah. So with $50 membership, it's sort of a no brainer.
All right. Well, I want to ask you something on that. So Bobby Lee and I've talked about this. And I told you this is something we got to talk about. And what would you say to the guys that maybe were members of Tennessee Cattlemen's and they honestly felt like they weren't represented because of the NCBA thing? Look, we've been very critical of NCBA.
I had a couple people text me that same thing. Like the people that have been turned off by kind of everything that's come to light with them over the last 5-6 years.
Sure. So I'm going to say this, NCBA is our friend. Yeah. They are not to anyone, and I'm going to let Nick speak on that a little more, but everything I've seen, if you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, NCBA is for the cattle producer, the down and dirty, like, hey, this is, we represent cattlemen out there. There's a lot of discussion about how they're closely connected to the packers and all that. Yeah. And that's simply not true. There was at a time that JBS that was a member of the association, got mad about some stuff, and they pulled out and they left. Right. And it was like, okay, bye. Don't let the door hit you kind of thing.
Well, and go ahead.
So I never want to, Tennessee Cattlemen is a standalone but we are also an affiliate of NCBA. There's some things that maybe NCBA does that we don't agree with, but I'm going to tell you, at a federal level, there's not a better group of people representing cattle producers than the folks at NCBA.
Well, and which of course everybody has different opinions. And I always say, I don't agree with anybody all the time.
Yeah.
But, I guess there were several issues over the years, not to even mention MCOOL, because I know that one's you're never going to get any agreement there. But just some of the, the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, the mandatory EID. It seemed like every time there was one of these issues, and this is where I had an issue previously with Tennessee Cattlemen, because I'd call and talk to multiple people, past presidents, executive vice president. And I was like, and I'm talking to people and we're all like in favor of this or against this and just want my voice heard.
Sure.
And I would always get no, we're staying in line with the NCBA.
Gotcha.
And I was like,
so I want to ask.
And that's where at one point I took my ball and went home.
Yeah.
I was like,
I want to ask this you mentioned the MCOOL, because I'm still learning a lot of stuff.
One I understand it's really complex.
But I want to, do you ever sell, have you ever slaughtered your own steer and sell to your neighbor or any of that?
Yeah.
All right. So if you're supporting of MCOOL, you're suggesting then that they should have a state inspector or a federal inspector to come in and label the meat that you're selling to your buddy down the road.
Well,
and I
guess I'm technically not selling meat.
Right.
We're going through custom. I'm selling an animal.
But that's where you get into that slippery slope within MCOOL.
Well, I guess then that counter to that would be the Prime Act.
So
I guess the Prime Act or a watered down version of it is in the current Farm Bill, which of course we're waiting on the Senate and God knows.
Yeah. Well, that was a topic of hot discussion last week was the Senate's version of the Farm Bill. But with that, we do not have the USDA product to USA label.
Right. Yeah, that was
which is wonderful.
Because it was, that was just such a crock for years.
Probably.
It could be labeled as product to USA.
Man, we could sit here and talk about imports and all that. But I mean, and be happy to, because I love the stuff. But the product of the US of USA label looks like a really good, nice middle ground with a lot of that given those folks that want to use that. So, and to go back to the cattlemen, I want to make a couple points. One, here in Tennessee, we are a two-hat state, meaning that the Tennessee Cattlemen's Association is fully funded by memberships. We do not get any beef checkoff dollars. Our beef checkoff dollars in the state come to the Tennessee Beef Industry Council, and Miss Valerie Bass and her team oversee all that. And they do a phenomenal job of getting the most bang for the buck of the checkoff dollars that come. Now, not every state is that way. Some states around us are one hat state, meaning they're all together. But there are very strong safeguards in about the time accounting that's used for checkoff dollars versus Cattlemen's Association dollars.
So I want to interrupt Nick just real quick to specify that once again, the Cattlemen Association is separate from Beef Council. So anytime you sell an animal and there's $1.50 that's come out, that goes to Beef Council. That does not come to the Cattlemen Association. Cattlemen Association is only funded by its members.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. Which goes back to the fact that we do need more members. Yeah. So, and we were talking about this before. So in 2000, there were about 1.2 million head of cattle here in the state of Tennessee. We're down to about 750 now in 2025. So we've had a reduction there. And, if you just do the average herd size numbers in there, we've lost a ton of producers.
I bet the average herd size is pretty small in the state.
In any of the southeast states, we range from 18 to 24 is the average herd size.
Yeah.
And, and that's what gets it probably seems a moot point now because it was probably years ago, but the fact that you were calling it, that's really what we want, because now
we want to hear from you.
We really do want to hear from you. Now, us being an affiliate of NCBA means that we get to go take a voice when we go and vote. And I'll be honest with you, their summer business meeting is coming up here in July that Dale and I and Gary will both be at. Last year got pretty excited about screwworm. I mean, because sitting across the table from us was the Arizona Cattle Feeders Association that had 70-year-old feedlots that have went out of business because those Mexican cattle aren't coming in. But across from that, you had a guy from North Dakota that was just hell bent on them cattle weren't coming across the border. And so, it's like that. It's not just like you're bowing down to Cowtown. the current president of NCBA is a cow-calf producer from Virginia. Previous president, Mr. Schiffelbein, was family feedlot cow-calf from, I believe, Minnesota. When you look at the leadership across NCBA, it's made up of producers. And I think that kind of gets lost sometimes in the argument with that. And even then, I mean, while they are the largest contractor of the checkoff, they have to go spend the money first, then come back to the checkoff to be reimbursed whenever they go and do these programs. And there have been instances in the past where contractors have went out and done something on behalf of trying to get checkoff dollars and have not been awarded that from the producer-led councils and boards that vote on that afterwards. But really, membership is, like when you go to Washington and when you go to Nashville, those guys will give you more time. You might get 30 minutes in their office to talk about something. Washington, you've got about 15 minutes. Yeah. And so really, what we try to do is hone in on messages and things that our best to, like Tennessee, it's not been hard in the past few years to talk about farmland loss across all that, but then sometimes you really get off into the weeds. When we were just up in Washington, I think this year it's called the Build America 250 Act, which is the transportation bill that gives basically the USDOT their authority. There were some really good things for livestock folks in there. So that's where our hours of service waiver is housed within that bill. That's where our 150 air miles exemptions for some of our livestock haulers are. And then this year, actually, it includes a provision for a pilot program of if you've got a triaxle trailer, you can haul up to, or a truck, 91,000 pounds. Oh, nice. And on a federal level, so some states have always had that. Yeah. But in that got put kind of like literally on a 12:30 a.m. vote, an amendment got filed basically saying that a trailer that was suspicious, it was even, the language was a little odd. If a trailer was even suspected of hauling horses for slaughter, they could be stopped. Horses for slaughter. Now, here's where that becomes important. Horses are considered livestock by most federal. But people are hauling horses for slaughter a lot. It's actually been the reason for part of that bill is that's one of the ways that a lot of the animal rights activists will try to come after animal slaughter in general. Is the horse is considered a livestock animal when it comes to our federal regulations, and so it was. Without groups sitting around literally looking at all this stuff that is filed every day, like that amendment got voted on at 12:30 in the morning, and it passed. Yeah, with bipartisan support for that amendment. Yeah, and so without these groups watching that, and NCBA would be one of them. They were the ones that hearkened us to that, and we got to go have conversations with some of our congressional folks about that. Well, afterwards,
created a loophole basically that cattle could get looped into that.
Eventually, that's the same. The Animal Rights activists for years have tried to use the horse loophole as livestock. Yeah, to be able to get some federal regulations when it comes to the transportation and slaughter of livestock animals for food. Well, and you talking about the Arizona and the New Mexico guys, it makes me think like, we went to when we were in Anaheim with the Farm Bureau National Convention, and we asked Joby there, he was the vice president there. We asked him about, because Farm Bureau is huge, just like cattle organizations and all that. And it's in a similar situation where like it represents row crop farmers here in the South. Well, it also represents some guys that probably hate glyphosate. There's farmers that are like regenerative only and they hate any herbicides. And so like, it's probably difficult it's hard to be a single voice for like a huge organization. Oh, yeah. So, like we said, there's always going to be elements that,
you're never going to have everybody agree on everything. Yeah. And if you do, you probably, I don't know.
So one of the things that I mentioned earlier is we want to be the voice of the producer. And something I've had to get my head wrapped around is I think of it as we're in production agriculture. We are, Nick's got 400 mama cows, and how much of that is, that's meat on the table. Yeah. But we also have got to be mindful of reaching out with the term homesteader. I almost think homesteader used to be like, man, they're a homesteader. Like that was a bad thing.
Yeah. But as I'm
coming around, I'm like, wait a minute, we've got to figure out how to embrace that because there are ways that what they are doing, if they can find a niche market and do what they need to do, and I'm not trying to say we need to just water down what we are, but I think our first and foremost is production agriculture.
Yeah.
But there's a way to make the homesteaders be a part of this, and we want to be the voice of them as well. So it's not just about, hey, it's running 400 mama cows, and
and I think Tennessee's done a very good job of making it easy to sell products off of the farm.
Yeah.
And so that's why, necessarily from a Tennessee cattleman's perspective, I think our focus is like what's happening in the state. That, there are national issues, right? And we should always be engaged in them. But, like we live in a super ag friendly state that, we're like, to me, I think we should be the poster child for a really nice blend.
Yeah,
because I can sell my pot loads of cattle to somebody that's doing a huge USDA inspected facility and all these animals on feed. But it's very easy for me to hold 20 back over here and sell them to consumers if they come on my farm. And it's $50 through the Department of Agriculture, and the state has invested a ton of money into, local processing that a lot of other states don't have. And so, I think we've really the state has really benefited from that, producers from that, from folks that have been in TDA and some of the local programs looking forward to that. So we probably don't have as many, some of the issues that other states have when it comes to a lot of that.
Okay. Well, and I just, again, and it was some very specific issues where and my involvement was phone calls. I hadn't been to meetings. I'll be the first to admit.
Bobby Lee showed up and he would paint himself and protest.
Yeah. Well, and I had talked to my group of friends. Some from all over the state, and we're like, like I don't know why anybody would be for this, and I would call in, and it was just like, but it's good to hear like you guys represent the Tennessee cattle producers, and I never got that impression in the past. Like it was always. They would say it without saying it, like if the national group is for it, we don't care how many phone calls we get.
Sure.
We're so in the company line. And I was just like, and
that's frustrating. And
that's when, I'd get off the phone and nice people, like it was always a civil conversation, but they'd be like, no.
So I
just wanted to bang my head into a wall.
This has nothing to do with the previous leadership or board or anything.
I don't want to badmouth anybody. Yeah.
I am a producer myself. I get it.
Right.
I know how frustrating it is when you go to pull a calf or something, you go to check on cattle and one's dead, or like just all the things that you deal with. So I approach everything that I do for this membership and for this job. What would I want to be doing? How would I want someone to represent me?
Yep.
And that's the lens that I'm going through this, and maybe I should address that to Nick and all the board as well. I've kind of, I lean on them a lot, but that's the approach that I'm taking is what do I want as a producer myself? And I think that I kind of reflect what most of our members want as well.
Yeah,
we're not going to make everybody happy, but
and that's why I'm a member again.
Thank you.
I finally decided I was like, which I'll ask this, I don't, maybe y'all could tell me even better. Embarrassed. Like, I don't think our county is very active.
I was going to ask about our county.
Which county are you in?
Tipton.
In Tipton County.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, obviously I'm, pay my dues, get my magazine, I'll hit like on Instagram posts, but like how else do we get more involved? Coming to convention, I know things like that.
Could he start a county chapter?
Absolutely.
That's what Bobby Lee needs to do.
I think we have a chapter. I just don't know how active.
And I'll say this, COVID was really rough on a lot of our county chapters. It was kind of the perfect storm. People weren't allowed to get together. Then let's be honest, a lot of our members.
We could have had a protest.
We could have. You could have been out there with with a painted chest protest, and you'd be fine. But we could not meet about.
Couldn't have a meeting. We could have a protest.
And a lot of our leadership, even on the county levels, probably older.
Yeah.
And I think when we go to meetings with other states, it's like it's everybody's had the same thing. Just membership in general to local and state organizations has just continued to go down. There's less and less of us, which I think is the argument for even more for membership if it's something
get in there,
about you. But we have. I would say our county is starting to become more active, but we've not been. That's just in the last probably 2 years. There was a good year period there that we're not. I know a lot of other folks, they're like, if there's a county next to them that's super active, those folks will go. Your state dues come directly to us in Murfreesboro, where Dale's office and our Cattlemen's office is at, so like, a lot of the county dues are going towards like scholarship programs and maybe paying for some of the meals. And so like, that's going back to like healthy debate amongst board members. I mean, we have really healthy debate amongst, a lot of different range of topics. And then one of them we talk about is how to get, because some of us come from counties that are not engaged at all. Some Gary with Fayette County, I mean, they have something like nearly every month. And, and so like it does, vary across the state. What we try to be on the state level is we want to give as many folks opportunities. So one thing I would make sure I always look for district meetings. Yeah. So there again, where we're broke out into districts, that's where your district VPs are going to be elected. And there are 9 districts across the state. So we vary them on there every 2 years.
And if you don't know where your district is, now in the magazine, open up that front page. Yep. State of Tennessee is broken up into the districts.
I need to make my wife and my brother, between the two of them, one of them is going to strangle me if I get involved in anything else. But me.
But I mean,
but I need to be.
But also you guys are doing it through this podcast. I mean, again, I'm not saying that just because we're sitting here, but like you guys are doing that in a way that, I mean, even like Dale and I can't,
Absolutely. But the reach that you all have.
Yeah, but I mean, now y'all have our numbers. And so,
we're going to talk you guys about, we'll call y'all all the time.
That's right. We really want that. I mean, because I think coming out of COVID, it was so easy to not be engaged.
Yeah.
And, they're doing it or what, but like, we've really got to get back. Like when we were, like the statement that came across to me the most last week, we were sitting in the USDA office and Secretary Rollins' chief of staff, who is from West Tennessee here, like she just kept saying how good it was to see farmers sitting there and how much their voices were heard. And like, and the thing is like, there was like 15 of us around the table. We all had different, we all had different things, but it's like, you can't, you can eventually one day you can get to a nice picture of consensus whenever everybody's voices are there. Yeah. But we've got to hear them,
So to that point, I didn't get to go on this cool trip that Nick was on, but I was in DC in April and then also again in May. It was interesting, kind of what you're saying. Every congressional office I was in, they're like, we hear from groups all the time about every kind of issue. We want to hear what's really relevant to Tennessee and what's to a producer. Yeah. So again, that's where our voice needs to be heard. We need to be telling our story even more. And I'm confident that if we're not telling it, somebody else is going to tell a story that may quieten us completely or just totally disregard what we would really want to be heard.
Agreed. So. Yeah. That's been one of the big things we've been saying. I mean, guys I've referred to it as the sleeping giant, in our country. We're seeing it more, we mentioned Sean Ryan. I mean, I say that I get my ass chaffed about him a lot, and I do because he has a massive reach. And I mean, they say things that just aren't true. And so, it does fire me up, and that's the problem. If we all, farmers, y'all talking about you love to go sit in the pasture, listen to the cows munch. And, we'd love to shut off all social media, just not worry about any of that crap and go and do that. But the problem is, I think the problem is that's what we've done for a long time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we now have people in Washington making policies that are not ag friendly. Yep. And it's because they don't know. I've talked about there's some huge influencers, and there's one woman in particular, I won't even mention her name, but she'll put up a post and it'll be something like ban all herbicides. It'd be something simple like that. Yeah. And people will freaking eat it up. It'll get shared 1 million times and liked and comment. Everybody's like, we should never be using chemicals. We should cattle should never have hormones or antibiotics and all these things. And I'm like, these people are clueless.
They have no idea.
No.
They want to jump on the antibiotics, just a little snippet here. I'm not a veterinarian, so I'm sitting in between two. Y'all correct me on this. But if you are truly concerned about your animal and it gets sick and you want to be the true cattleman, the true husbandman, whatever the word is, to take care of, aren't you going to treat it? I mean, should you just put it off to the side and let it wind up dying? I mean, it doesn't make a lick of sense. It's not just the financial part of it. It's like, give it something, get it better so that it can live. I mean, that's truly being an animal activist, in my opinion.
Why is that such a big deal to them? I don't understand the antibiotic thing.
Well, and all that's improved dramatically.
It's improved. I think it really goes back to, I mean,
now you can't get, used to, you go in a feed store
Yeah.
and buy antibiotics. And some cattlemen may get pissed off about the fact they can't do them. Well,
I can't even get steroids anymore. I was going to try to get some steroids.
Logan was a bodybuilder.
I don't think you need them. But I think we've lost the conversations.
Yeah.
To sum up probably all of what we've talked about is agriculture. We've lost conversations there, and we've let other people completely co-opt them.
Yep.
And I think one of the problems is we don't see who maybe is on the funding side of some of the podcasts or some of the things that get, and so it's kind of like we'd like the politicians to wear the NASCAR coats that showed all of their political. In the podcast world, it's almost about got there as well.
It has,
and so we've got to, just like the crop protection bill in Tennessee that just got completely just lambasted just because of a couple posters there. It's like it wasn't the fact that to me, it wasn't the fact that like the Megyn Kelly interview posted, it's not a fertilizer. Same deal. The next week in the Wall Street Journal talking about a cattle Ponzi scheme that was going up in Kentucky, which that's a really crazy article if you wanted to look at that. But this is a Wall Street Journal that I read every morning. It was talking about that the stocker, he was a stocker backgrounder, that he would get the animals used to antibiotics.
Used to antibiotics?
Used to antibiotics. I mean, I've screenshotted it for verification. I'm used to antibiotics. No, they were probably treated one time, got used to feed, but not antibiotics. But that is a trusted, one of probably the most non-biased trusted news sources. And so we've allowed these things to be co-opted. And so now we're going to have to claw our way back little bit by little bit.
See, and people act like when we pointed out the fertilizer thing with Megyn Kelly, people are like, it was just a simple word mistake. It's not a big deal. And this, then it's like, no, it is a big deal. It is a big deal. Cause then there's somebody out there. There are people that are just that. And I say ignorant, and I don't mean this insultingly. I mean, they are just that ignorant to ag that they're going around. There's somebody now that's like, they use glyphosate to fertilize, like that. They're even putting it in the fertilizer now. That's the kind of stuff that people take away from that. And so then with the Wall Street Journal thing, there's probably people who read that and they're like, they're just giving cattle, they're giving them so many antibiotics that they're just becoming used to it now. Yeah. And that is insanely damaging to us.
And the damaging part is that it completely masks the really positive things. I mean, we're using a fraction of the chemicals we did 20, 30 years ago. We're using a fraction of the antibiotics that we did 20, 30 years ago. And so it's to me, the framing gets as, here's what we're doing that's bad. We're not able to then have the conversation about what we're doing good or where maybe we do use too much glyphosate, but let's get to a workable solution to get to this other side of it.
Yep.
And, like this year with fertilizer and the whole Strait of Hormuz. I mean, we're all geopolitical analysts now, because of that. But,
everybody's an expert.
We need to have a conversation about, okay, what are we going to do about domestic fertilizer production? Somewhere along the way, we got to start having those conversations.
Agreed.
But we can't come at it from these two huge opposing, if everybody's over here and everybody's over here.
But that's the point we've gotten to today.
Yeah, it is.
We are so divided on everything. It is insane.
As I turned in the driveway here, I noticed some nice cabbage plants, and you and I talked about that.
Yeah.
So many people have no idea that those heads of cabbage would wind up either as boiled cabbage, or sauerkraut or whatever. It goes back to this whole cattle thing, or whatever piece of production of agriculture we want to touch on. They have no idea what it takes to get it to the grocery store level.
Yeah.
And they're so quick to, I used to laugh when people say, oh, yeah, I'll just get it at the grocery store. It doesn't matter. But I'm now realizing there is so much truth to that. They they
believe
have
that.
No idea.
Yeah. They believe that. All right. We got to get to some of these questions.
And I was going to say, do we need to talk about at least we barely mentioned screwworm. And what do you think? Are we going to have it?
I'm going to let Nick answer that. I do want to say this.
Don't make me answer that one.
I'm more, it was kind of always on the back burner. Like, when it gets to Texas, I'll start worrying. Well, now I'm worried.
You and I got to see that picture of that Hereford cow that had been circulating around for 40 years in our veterinary textbooks, that I thought you gave a really good synopsis last week on the podcast about screwworm. I think a few things probably in the last week, so we don't just rehash it for all your listeners. I actually thought it was a really good look and a really good thing that the ranch that found it first had Secretary Rollins there. They gave an update on that animal, and it was, cleared after 9 days and back doing better and was a newborn calf. We were probably ambitious to think that we were going to completely, stop it. But I think, man, given the situation that they were given in the timeframes that they were given, I think the USDA has done a wonderful job mobilizing assets. Probably the only thing I think they would really love to speed up, and everybody would be our own sterile fly facility that's going to go in out there at Moore Air Force Base. They're looking at like 27.
Yeah.
I think it's going to give us the capacity to beat this thing down. And, it'll be actually, I think it's a relatively good sign that we're not seeing just more cases every day.
Yeah.
Like we kind of had that surge of those initial ones. There was the dog that had that had been across the border a couple times, and there was the questions about how it moved. We seem to be making the best of a terrible situation. It's like I gave some talks to some producers in some other counties that had me. There is never a better year to invest in fly tags and ectoparasite control for your cattle. And we could even go into the tick thing with filaria that we've got and all of that now. But,
maybe a good topic to Nick to talk on that would be helpful to the listeners. What are some things that are just good preventative? You mentioned ear tags, fly tags. What else ways to help, just to be as prepared as they could be? Is that fair, gentlemen, to ask that question?
Yeah.
Regenerative.
What are you telling your
regenerative only though?
Man.
Which of course flies are always a problem. Even not talking about screwworm, and so I think
What about what we used to do? We haven't done this out here in a while. You may do it over on your farm. The old, just running the old big tube, the sock tube,
back rubber. Ear tags, back rubbers. Of course, it's too late now to put out your fly control mineral if you weren't already doing that. Heck, I've got one group of cows. I'm giving them just a little feed every morning. I got my little sprayer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I can spray 50 head, and because they're docile.
We've got some dudes that do the same thing. Absolutely.
Give us a rundown on that though. I actually think that's a really good thing because we have a lot of cattle producers that listen, and you're asking questions. Give us a little quick rundown. Simplify. What can people do to try to? Because people are nervous. Yeah. People are nervous about the screwworm thing.
Yeah. So anything that you're going to do to limit flies in general are going to be helped. So that would be the ear tags. Now, one thing I would caution: make sure that people are reading the label about how many they're supposed to put on an animal, because most of them are labeled for 2 for an adult cow to get the coverage. A lot of our dewormers. So Ivomec was conditionally approved with emergency use authorization by the FDA, so we can use it in treatment of screwworm. And that's what they were doing in the cattle that were coming across the border down there. So, and Ivomec was what that calf was treated with. So if we do get it, we have tools. They also have some other powders and such that, and the name of them are escaping me right now. But
like python dust or something?
Yeah, there's some, and you can actually go on screwworm.gov. The USDA set up a wonderful website that has all these listed. It's a really nice, easy to, it has for producers, for veterinarians. But, one thing that I've actually started doing, we have some groups that we just mix up the concentrate with some water and go out there and spray. You do have the back rubs. One that I think is really underutilized would be fly traps for adult flies. So there's an extension publication out there that you can take like a 5-gallon bucket and put like liver in, and then you take basically like PVC pipe and take elbows and 90s, and the flies go up there and then they can't get back out. So if you trap the adults, they cannot lay eggs.
Yeah.
You can, and if you want to go, like, you can go to Tractor Supply, Walmart, and get the fly trap bags. The stuff smells terrible.
We had one up at the farm office.
All over
really stink.
But barn.
I'm gonna have to get this MacGyver fly trap bucket again.
What you say now?
Put a PVC.
I'm pretty sure I know I learned about it at one of our cattlemen's meetings at one of our extension agents were at, but it was like you take a 5-gallon bucket, and I'm sure you can find the pictures online.
So you leave the lid on.
The lid on. You basically cut 2 holes in, and you've got like 2 90s of PVC.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing as like a lot of the Japanese beetle traps or whatever. Like the flies go up looking for it, well, then they can't find their way back out. So anything you're doing.
I'm curious about that. Yeah.
But I love adult fly, man. And there again, you know, the fly control meter, while it is late now, you know, they are on a pretty short cycle. So even if you start right now, 30 days from now, you're going to be reducing those, reducing those adults. And really just looking at them every day. I mean, like and I know
check mine about once a month.
Yeah.
So I need to check it more often than that.
I know obviously they've recommended, you know, don't be dehorning, don't be castrating, you know.
Just don't create the wounds.
Right. Because the screwworm does need a wound.
So if you're going to castrate, what do you need, a band? Or is even that risky?
You get in there too.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing would be to castrate in if available, and there again, cattle producers, we don't like to be told what to do. So I'm fully on that bandwagon. But cooler, you know, the screwworm does not fly above 45 degrees.
Okay.
So, you know, looking back years ago, it only it did reach here, and we did have it here. It reached to about the southern parts of Ohio.
Okay.
With climate change, they're now saying it may go a little bit more north because we've had warming.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like 45.
Thanks a lot, Greta. Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
So, you know, like
wait until fall.
Wait until fall. Wait until the temperatures are down below where the fly is going to be trying to migrate.
But if you're someone like me, cows are calving in March, late February, March, they're ready to be castrated or banded now. Right. So what do I do?
Yeah.
There again, seriously, you know,
man, got me choked up. Oh, yeah, I know it. That hay cutting yesterday got me. You know, if you're going to do it, I would pair that with some sort of ectoparasite control. So a fly tag or pour-on.
Yeah.
Something that's going to reduce. And if I was going to do it, I'd look for something that also does ticks as well this year, because that's where we're.
Yeah. What is that tick you were talking about?
The Asian longhorn tick.
Asian longhorn.
Yeah. Is making its way across America. Unfortunately,
did Bill Gates turn that loose on us too?
Man. Well, how far down the rabbit holes are we going to go? Yeah. Hey, I saw something today that Massachusetts is now like they've got the alpha gal so bad up there that it's now like, I don't want to say reportable, but they're putting money towards like trying to figure that out for folks.
Man, I'm nervous about it. I've gotten 2 Lone Star ticks off of me.
It's legit. I mean, like, man, if you wanted to curb meat demand.
Yeah. So, and keep in mind, there's 2 different ticks. There's the Asian longhorn tick that's causing listeria in cattle.
Filaria.
And thank you. Thanks for
it's okay. That's what I want. That's what I paid all that money. That's what I paid all that money for.
Yeah. What is the word?
Filaria. Theia.
How did I get listeria?
Well, that's very close.
Okay. Not chlamydia.
Not chlamydia.
That you got down on Perkins Avenue down there.
Yeah. We didn't learn about that one in school. Well,
they don't get chlamydia.
We've run a few respiratory panels on cats.
Yeah.
And then I've drawn a blank to the name of the tick with a spot that's causing
the Lone Star.
That's the Lone Star tick. Yeah,
so the Lone Star and the Asian longhorn, two different ticks.
But the longhorn is in our area too now?
Yes, and it has been for a while. So we had our first case of filaria in the state about 2 or 3 years ago in some cattle that were illegally moved in. And it is a tick-borne disease. It would be very similar to folks have probably heard of anaplasmosis, where it's essentially rupturing those red blood cells. But filaria is here. And interesting, when we were in Washington last week, one of the topics that's coming up from the feed yard guys is that they're having higher rates of death in some pens. And when they're testing them, there's a very high, nearly every one of them are positive for filaria.
Dang.
Now,
does that tick have any, does it look distinctive like the Lone Star?
It does. And there's some really good, so it was imported in here. It basically came off of the East Coast. I think the first reported case of it was maybe in New Jersey.
Gotcha.
And then it basically just worked its way down the East Coast and has moved across. For our cow-calf guys, maybe they lose like one animal out of the herd. And it's like, oh, well, old Bessie died, but
Sally.
Don't lose it, Sally.
But we're, so what we're finding is when they get into the herds, there are carriers.
Yeah.
So there's some of them that are going to be just completely normal. And then But as other ticks then feed, they're going to start translating that. And so that's what they're talking about in the feed yard is, did that actually cause it, or did that suppress the immune system enough that our respiratory diseases got to it?
Gotcha.
And we could sit here, and Bobby Lee and I could sit here and
nerd out,
theorize on that for hours.
So but, I'm all about keep it simple. And what do I do on to treat for flies? You were talking about, spraying them. And this goes back to my tobacco farming days. We had those tobacco, like a backpack type of a sprayer. Man, those are great. If you can get out there with your cows, put up, if you've got the handheld one, you got to be pumping it and spraying it. It's a little awkward.
Got the arm pump.
Exactly.
Range.
You just get out there and spray them good. Man, keeping the flies down is huge.
And so the same preventatives for flies is also what you would do for the ticks?
They would. A lot of them would cross.
Okay.
A lot of them would cross. They would. They're going to have varying levels of control for ticks versus, and really the bad problem for ticks where the sprays maybe not get as good as those ticks do like to get in the inguinal. They like to get in the areas where it's hard for those cattle to reach, because their tail's going to be swatting them. And so the sprays probably are not as effective for them as they're going to be for a fly, but you've got the tags, systemic control with your injectable dewormers are going to give you some control.
What would you put in there on like the back rubbers? What would you put? We usually put some burnt oil.
A lot of the active ingredients, same thing we put in fly spray.
Yeah.
Is it permethrin or something?
Yeah.
Do you use permethrin?
There's
There's nothing that just stands above anything.
That's come off patent. I mean, you've got the permethrins and the pyrethroids that are all kind of in the same class. They've just been like it's version 1, 2, 3, 4 essentially is what they are.
But there's not one you would just recommend over another.
Whichever one you could get your hand on. What I would say is, whichever one your local vet or your co-op has got. Yeah. And, a lot of folks do use diesel fuel as carriers. It can be an irritant though, so you can use mineral oil. There are some other oils that you can use as a carrier that help that stay on there in those rubbers.
Gotcha.
One of the things I'm thinking about just while we're talking about this, we're talking about minerals and we're talking about, all these different sprays. You've got to figure out what works for you in your operation because what works for Nick and his and mine and everybody, it's so different. So you've got to figure out what you can do and be consistent with it. I think I kind of take the whole shotgun approach. I'm putting out minerals that have the fly control in it. I try to spray them, every week or maybe every 2 weeks. Talking about the back rubs, man, I need to put some of those up, I guess. And just doing the things that you can do to help prevent it as much as you can.
Well, then I would say like changing your strategy is probably pretty good periodically.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's I'm thinking about it from the row crop side. It's like, we have pigweed that is resistant to glyphosate because we just used glyphosate so many years in a row that it developed resistance. And I'm assuming it's probably the same way in the cattle world. If we use the same method of attack, there's probably that chance that there could be resistance developed.
On dewormers, it's suggested, and I'm going to throw out enough, and then I'm going to back up and let the vets talk about this. But, it's like if you use one like for 2 years, then you should change and use a different white versus, I don't even know. See, I'm gonna hush. What is the right wording for that on the dewormers?
As far as rotation,
yeah.
So, go ahead, Nick.
Well,
I'm not a cattle vet.
Well, and I'm not anymore. I'm more on the producer side. But so, man, how much nerding do you want me to do here? Because it is good. So the white wormers that we talk about, that you've got the little hook and you give them by the mouth. Those get adults only. So a lot of your stocker cattle guys are doing those now, and actually doing both because So our injectable dewormers, Ivamec was the very first that came out, and then you have your later developed ones such as Dectomax, Moxidectin, and Dormectin. They get the insisted larval stages, so they get like the babies all the way up to the adults. We're finding that the adults is where they might have some less efficacy now.
Yeah. So
that's where people are pairing them with the old white wormers, because that was all we had for years was the oral dewormers. And so it's kind of the same thing. We have overused some of the injectable ones. Yeah. There's other things out there where, you can actually deworm them once during certain times of the year. And like during our hot time of the year, those parasites go dormant kind of in the cow because they know it's too hot outside for their eggs to survive. So if you deworm them during those times, you get a much cleaner animal on the other side. Good pasture rotation is one.
Yeah.
Feeding them up off the ground, not pouring the feed just out there on the ground for them to get.
Yeah.
And talking about resistance, ear tags is one of the reasons. The fly ear tags is one that we absolutely do have some documented resistance in. And if you look at any of the companies that make those, suggest a rotation.
Yeah.
They have like a 4-year rotation. They have a 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually those placards or signs are all up in the feed stores, and they're all different colors. So all you have to remember is last year she's got a
purple one.
She's got a blue tag. Well, this year she needs gold, and next year it's green. And so, and going back to like the beef cattle world, the parasite control is something that we've really been trying to get because we don't really have new products coming down the road. So like that's one thing I would caution producers is like what we have right now is what we've got, and so figuring out those management techniques. Our sheep and goat guys have had that. They've had resistance for many, many years, and they have some really, really intense protocols that work real well. But then also maybe culling that animal that you dewormed about a month ago, and she's not looking any better. She's one we don't need to keep her genetics around, so she gets the nice ride to town. Yeah.
All right, let me get to these questions real quick because we had several wrote in. All right, this guy, he writes in, what is the biggest mistake cattlemen make that can be avoided? It's a big one. That's a tough question.
Oh, man.
There's a bunch of things.
That's a tough question.
Man.
That's
not having a well-defined calving season. And that's a simple one, but it's one a lot of people are guilty
Someone
of.
told me recently that cattle producers so many times look at their cattle herd as a savings account rather than a business.
Yes.
And I was like, we know some that do that. Too. And it makes sense. Like, treat it like this is a business. I'm going to carry these calves to a certain period, not like, man, my note is due next week. I've got to load up the calves and sell them. So that would be one of them. That goes back to having a defined calving season.
Right.
I'm fortunate. A little plug for Warren County Sale Barn and in McMinnville, Tennessee. They've got a great feeder calf sale, graded feeder calf sale. We've got a bunch of them in Middle Tennessee and all across the state. But if you can pull those calves together and have a group, they're going to bring much better than just having a few.
Yeah.
So, kind of looking at it not just as a savings account, but as a business, and that defined business calving season is part of it.
Yeah.
Semen check your bulls and preg check your cows.
Yeah, that's
huge.
I don't know. I mean, it's been a few years now, but I'm guessing, a BSE on a bull today probably run you $100. That's the best $100 you ever spent.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Especially if you're a smaller herd and you've only got one bull. If he's not, if he's not throwing the goods out there, no matter how good of a business plan you've got, or you just lost your calving season. And there are lots of different tools now for preg checking. There's some blood tests that you can send in and stuff now. And so that
cheap and easy. Yeah.
It costs twice as much today to carry a cow as it did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And with pound cow prices the way they are, she does not need to stay around if she's not bred.
That's right. Another plug for, I guess this is University of Tennessee, little plug that, and I think it was Dr. Bruno Pedrea. I'm butchering his name, but Dr. Bruno, he talked about something this spring that just really resonated. You can have the best genetics out there. You can do all of the best practices. But if those cows don't have the pasture and don't have what they need, man, you're just spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes pasture management, enough of, you throw all the
pasture.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, and I've been guilty of that, running too many cattle on. And so you can have the best genetics, but you're starving them. I mean, not starving them, but you know what I'm saying. They're not getting what they need to grow off.
Which all these have been kind of cow-calf kind of directed, but getting calves weaned, having them add all the value you can to them.
Yes.
We're worth so much money right now, but getting them vaccinated, castrating your bulls, having them weaned at least 45 days.
Get a live calf on the ground too.
Yeah.
I think we've gone down the path of talking about Cavanese bulls in the past, and sometimes we've done that. I've personally done that to the extreme.
Oh yeah.
And I've given up some stuff, but I'm also mindful. If you're not doing it, especially on heifers, you wind up with a calf that's dead, or you lose a heifer.
Oh, yeah.
Man, look at what a financial loss that is too.
Today,
so
for sure.
Yep. What would be the most beneficial change to legislation that would help cattlemen? Some of these are hard.
Super broad.
Who from the Department of Ag sent that in?
Eliminating property tax.
Yes.
Oh boy, would that be nice?
Yeah.
You know, you might be onto something. Is there a way to say, you know, there is Greenbelt, which I think if anyone, you know, if it's active agriculture and
you need to be in it.
You need to be in
You don't need to
Greenbelt.
lose that.
Yeah. But if there's a way to kind of tack onto that.
We would be on board.
I'm anti-tax in general, but like I buy something, tax me on it once, not from now till the end of time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would love to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm not going to. I'm going to say, I mean, we have the Farmland Preservation Act.
Yep.
It's not necessarily changing legislation. I'm just curious. We talked about that. I'm just curious to see what that says and see what type of tool that'll be for us.
Okay. Yep. All right. What is your opinion on cattle prices? Do you think cattle numbers will come back?
My opinion is they're good, and they keep going up. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Even better.
I feel like the market is telling us to expand.
Yeah.
But man, when you get off into the details of how, like, where it's going to be is almost as important as if, because it may expand. Like if Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, if those guys got out of a really persistent drought, they would have the ability to expand much more rapidly than we would here, where we're dealing with land loss, high input cost. And so we may be talking about a situation where it's the U.S. herd expands, but Tennessee's does not.
Yeah.
And they're getting not to go off on that rabbit hole. But like, what does that look like for us here locally? Sure. Everything that we can do to drive local demand, direct to consumer, like we need to take those avenues.
Yeah. Sure. Let's see here. All right. If Herefords were black and Angus were red, would Angus breeders breed Hereford instead?
So I want to touch on that just real quick to say this. There is nothing prettier than some black baldies out there in the field.
I love black baldies.
I'm telling you. And I come from an influence of Simmental and Angus. I consider mine commercial herd. Yeah, but I keep saying, man, maybe I need to find me a good Hereford bull to put on these black cows because I love a baldy calf.
My old bull that I got, he was actually a bottle calf that I raised, and he is he's black, got a pretty white face. Yeah, I love it. I love that black baldy look. Yeah. All right, this comes from our buddy Marcus. We were talking about. He said, "What is TCA doing to get more youth involved in agriculture and cattle farming? Has TCA considered a youth lifetime membership?" Similar to TWRA's lifetime sportsman license, where parents or grandparents could enroll kids early, help keep them engaged through educational materials and opportunities as they grow.
Oh, that's good.
That is good. That's a good idea.
Mark is thinking outside the box.
Yeah, that's great. Marcus, that's so I would highlight our youth program is probably one of the best things that we've got going. I mean, like I said, Miss Melinda that started that.
Now, wait a minute. Now, there's...
from the past few years, I mean, we've seen exponential growth in that. We've got, just for instance, our little Clay County Fair had a calf show for the first time in many, many years this past year. And I think like we're kind of gaining momentum. Yeah. It's a little bit regionalized, probably where some of the shows are at, but we are actively, and if Miss Taylor was here, she would give you a much better rundown, but we're trying to on the board give other youth opportunities. So maybe there are some cattle working competitions and things like that. I don't want to get off of that too much because I don't want to overstep my bounds, but we are looking at other ways to continue to get youth involved that maybe you're not so show inclined, or maybe they're in a county that doesn't have a huge, calf showing presence.
Yeah.
There was back early in the spring, January, February, kind of wintry, we were going over some applications of some stuff. And there was a lot of these that we're talking about, they showed cattle and all this. And I come across this one young man, I can't think of his name, but I read it. And as I wrote on the top of it, grit, he had been involved in so many different pieces of agriculture. He was not a showman. He was not hey, let me go to the next cattle show. He was just that grit, hard work. I think you got to be smart. You got to do a lot of things to make it work in the ag industry. And I remember writing on his grit, just like he had the grit to make it. So tying to that, we are working on this summer here in July, taking a group of youngsters kind of on a little tour. Taylor is doing a fantastic job getting that organized, really to kind of reward and also expose to some of these youngsters to things that maybe they didn't get to see, through different programs. But Nick's spot on about, like, we're trying to figure out what do we need to do to be impactful to the youth. To answer Marcus's question a little more, I don't know that we've really talked about, or at least since I've been on board, I don't know that we've talked about having a lifetime membership, but maybe that's something we need to consider.
Yeah, we have. So, I mean, we're looking at any way to get membership up in any way. So we have had conversations about different memberships, but some youth opportunities that we have now, of course, I mean, we have scholarships that are available during certain times of the year. We have the summer beef industry tour that we've done, where it does take other folks around, the different. I think this year we're going to Indiana.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Last year they went to Alabama.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2 years ago. And then last year they did Kentucky, I think. We also have our youth ambassador program. So those, usually we select 5 to 6 of those. They come in as like they get to sit in one of our board meetings. They're kind of helping us work conventions, get a little bit more in-depth view into what we do as an association, and kind of get that like leadership kind of role there. And then, of course, we have our top tier program that we, as the Cattlemen's Association, sponsor as far as the shows. We have that circuit that we do, and yeah, we love, and just looking for other ways just to get anybody that's interested in cattle production involved.
Well, got my gears kind of turning here, just thinking. Do y'all do any? Does TCA do anything with like rodeos?
No, but I love to go to a rodeo myself.
Well,
we had talked about doing this called it a shootout event.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that, talking about grit. Have some guys or girls who say, hey, I know how to handle some working cattle. And I know that's a little off of the bull riding and barrel racing, but like have an event that they can show their skills. Like this is really how it's done on the farm. And this is what we're doing. I wish we could figure out a way to partner with some of the rodeo, like whether it's NFR or something like that when it comes to Nashville or
I've thought that like, cause in our area here, they actually we had our old barbecue festival in Covington, and for the first time they had rodeo up there. And apparently it was like packed, because I wasn't able to go, but it was just, they talked about how packed it was. It was 2 nights rodeos, and then tractor pull actually got canceled because of the weather. But, we have PBR comes in Memphis, and I love watching all of them roping, bull riding. And, I'm just my brain thinking, I'm like, I wonder if we could get more rodeos in town, because that's an introduction to cattle and kind of gets you, it would stoke the flames a little bit. Maybe some kid gets involved in rodeo and he's like, man, I'd love to have just a cattle herd. This is cool. Well,
and you've seen some of that, everybody talks about the Yellowstone effect. It's such a big time, pop culture thing where.
Yeah, I got a brand on my chest now.
But just more interest in the, whether it's people just buying a pair of cowboy boots and cowboy hat, or people actually wanting to, I'm gonna give me a few cows, or hey, membership. You're not required to be a cattleman necessarily.
Absolutely,
to support,
you don't have to be.
Organization.
Absolutely, the love of the industry.
Yeah,
I joined the Tennessee Corn Growers.
That's right. And I admittedly I used to be a member of Tennessee Cattlemen. I just let it expire, but I'm going to renew.
We'll take your credit card right now before we leave.
Well, and I've always been like, man, I ain't a cattleman. I got like 8 cows. But hey, that counts.
Yeah, it does.
Which on that subject, to join, what is it, tncattle.org?
tncattle.org, or feel free to call us, 615-896-2333.
There you go.
tncattle.org.
tncattle.org.
And you can,
because I'm sure you can just search.
The join/membership is pretty prominent there on the website.
Right there, become a member.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to join, get my, or renew. I don't even remember I'll probably.
You know what? If you'll call in, Sally will be able to pull it up, and she'll be able to help you out.
So it'd be better
if you're
for
a
me
member
to call.
before, you will have an existing number.
I've been a member.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one thing we do here at the end, we could go all day.
Yeah,
We'll have to have you guys back on if y'all make the trip again. We do a segment here at the end where we like to highlight an American-made product, brand, company. We're going to put you on the spot. Let me cue up our thing here.
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
Famous 2 words, made in America. What is a product, brand, anything that y'all would put your stamp of approval on that is made in USA? We don't like to give you a heads up. We want you to put you on the spot.
You go first, Dale.
And it can be anything.
Gosh, we were talking about caps earlier. I don't know if those Richardson caps are made in America or not.
Unfortunately, I don't think they are. But
the hat is not, but there's a lot of companies that do the screen printing and all that.
Let me see. I might be wrong. It is 100% cotton, but it is made in Bangladesh.
Well, dadgummit. You know,
I bet.
Now, this was probably done in USA.
Yeah.
And we'll give, if people can see the logo. And we got a cool license plate here, too. Check that out.
That's awesome. By the way, if you need Father's Day's coming up.
Yeah. And we do have a merch store.
We do.
Online store.
Is it on the tncattle.org?
It is. You can go to the shop button.
That's right. Gosh, I need to do better with my, I need to buy a cowboy hat and I need some better like shirts. Like I'm envious of the ag gear stuff you're wearing. I'm sporting I think this came from the Goodwill.
It's a nice looking shirt.
Thank you. But I need to.
Clothing's tough to find.
Clothing is tough.
Yeah.
It really is.
If you really try, you can.
I'll give a plug there though. Some friends of ours through YFNR. I think it's Sugar Tree Cotton. They're from down in kind of lower middle Tennessee. They're a wonderful, wonderful family, and they have started growing cotton on their farm, and they have their own shirts.
Oh, cool.
That we bought some of them. They're out getting embroidered, but
so even Tennessee, not even just made in USA, Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
I would give an even more shameless plug for Honest Abe Log Homes. Every log home that's went across this world has been designed and manufactured in Moss, Tennessee.
That's awesome.
And there's nothing more American than a log home and cows grazing in the background.
That is a pretty epic. Yeah, that is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love a good goo cluster now. Sitting on the back porch of that.
Yeah. Now, those are probably made in USA, aren't they?
They used to be made in Nashville.
Okay. There you go.
Goo cluster. But that's awesome. But log home. I've got to come up and check out your place sometime.
Yeah. We love it. There's not many of us in the county, so we welcome visitors. And
you said y'all got 8,000 in the county?
That was the last census. I believe we're up to about 8,000.
You know how many we got in Tipton County?
Oh man,
it's about 66,000.
Wow,
it's too many.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's we do have to drive an hour just about to anything.
See, and that part would be because like right now where I live, if we're cooking dinner and we're like, dang it, we're out of this. It's 5 minutes to the grocery store.
Yeah. And we have a locally owned grocery store.
Yeah, that is pretty nice.
Yeah, we've got a couple really nice local ones, like within 15, 20 minutes. I mean,
I
family
refuse
owned.
to go to the big corporate owned one across the highway.
Well, guys,
I give my wife hell when she goes there too.
Yeah.
It's like I know the people that own the other one. Go there.
we appreciate y'all joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This has been great.
This has been really enjoyable.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I hope y'all join us again sometime. Like I said, man, I think we could easily go because there's all kinds of stuff we could talk about.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
So give one more shout out where people go to join. Tell us that.
Sure. Again, I can't express this enough. Thank you to our members. Thank you for allowing us to be here and talk about what we do as an association. If you are a member, thank you. We cannot do it without you. If you're not a member, feel free to call us. Go on our website, tncattle.org. Be glad to help you with that process. And we can't thank you enough for being a member of our association, of your association.
Awesome. And on social media, what is the handle?
Tennessee Cattlemen Association. If you look on Facebook, Instagram, we're out there as well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we'll check that out. Guys, appreciate y'all tuning in. We asked that y'all would leave us 5-star ratings on Spotify, Apple, everywhere else. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. And just what else do we need to do?
Check out agzaga.com, our good friends over there. Fill up your shopping cart, use the discount code TALKDIRT20, $20 off that $50 minimum order.
Do it. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Talk Dirt to Me with your hosts, Logan and Bobby Lee. If you enjoyed this episode, we ask that you subscribe and leave a review. We'll catch you next time.